When it comes to time to put mom and dad in an assisted living facility, there is so many hidden fees. We're going to tell you all about it, where those hidden fees are.
Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, your guide to navigating home health care with confidence. Hosted by Andrea Albertini, founder and CEO of Horizon Care Services, an industry leader in private duty home care in South Florida. To learn more, visit horizoncareservices.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Senior Care Made Simple. This is Andrea Albertini with Horizon Care Services, and there is Lucy Torres.
Hi, everyone.
So we are very excited about this episode today. Many people who are not in the healthcare industry and is not educated in long-term care needs to learn about the choices when you or your elderly parents or grandparents, uncle or aunts are now aging. What is the plan? What comes to us all the time at Horizon Care Services, a lot of the phone calls is, oh my God, my mom cannot be alone anymore. The first thing that you think about it is assisted living. Well, there's so many choices out there other than assisted living. So a lot of people don't know that there is senior services at home, like private duty home care, where you can have an RN, LPN, or a CNA, or just a companion that can take care of your loved ones at home. So there are choices out there, and it's very, very important for you guys to learn all about it. Lucy have worked in assisted living for a very, very long time, and I want her to explain the difference between private duty and assisted living, because there is rules and regulations and qualifications for your loved ones to be able to stay or move into an assisted living facility.
Yes. So we talk about different options. So first we talk about at home. So aging in place at home, what does that look like? And as you know, with the home care services, home health care, there are also adult daycares. There's different methods of kind of keeping in touch with your loved one when they're home if you can't be there with them all day long. So there's also independent living, there's assisted living, and then we have the long-term, the nursing home.
One other thing that I want the listeners to keep it in mind, the difference between assisted living, nursing home, and staying home with home care, right? So here's the scenario. It comes down to the finances. Did you plan for long-term care? Did you save money for long-term care? Did you buy a long-term care policy, right? Because it's very costly. So the first thing that anybody in our age that has elderly parents think about it, mom is alone, dad's alone, they can no longer live at home. I'm going to put them in assisted living. The scenario is, what area do you want to be? How much can you spend? Tell me a little bit about your mom to be able to find the right facility. Now, many assisted living has a lot of hidden costs. And you got to remember something. You may put your mom in a facility now that she's mobile, she's walking, she's bathing herself, she's doing everything by herself. But there is different levels of care as they are declining. And there's a lot of hidden fees that you need to be aware of, right? That's on the assisted living side. Now, the options also is for them to stay home with hourly and living care, right? Which that's what we provide at Horizon Care Services. Now, you can be at any skill to be with private duty home care. You just have to have the money to be able to pay for, because it can be very expensive. It can run between $18,000 to $20,000 a month.
Yes, it has to be financially feasible. When I would meet with the families who initially come in for placement, so what I was looking at was the individual person. First, what type of needs do they have? Do they need independent living? Where I always say independent living is exactly what the word says. You're independent. You're able to still live alone, and you don't need level of care. It is okay to be in independent living and still even have private duty coming in, maybe a few hours a day, coming in daily, because it still gives you the sense of independence and you are in independent living. You're not ready yet to transition to assisted living. And the other thing I would always say is, if you want to know how you meet criteria for independent living and you still have a caregiver coming in, which is fine, once that caregiver leaves you, are you safe to be completely alone in that apartment, whether it's home or in the independent living care facility? Because in independent care, they're not licensed. So therefore, they are not able to provide any clinical care to a resident. So it's very important to know what's the difference between independent and assisted living. Now, when you're needing to transition into assisted living, exactly, again, assisted living, they are assisting you and you are assisting them with the level of care that you require. And the way we kind of would identify is, first, what do they need as an individual? Does this this resident just need someone that's going to come in and do their medication management? Are they needing someone to assist with showering, dressing, mobility, their grooming? And is there any memory impairment? Because now another thing with assisted living it's not just any assisted living. If they have cognitive issues, any form of dementia, and they are at risk for exit seeking, we will always say elopement. They are trying to leave that community, and the community doesn't have the secured assisted living where it's more for memory care. So there are assisted livings that do, and there are ones that don't. So it's kind of identifying what does this individual need. Now I would like to look at the financial budget. So if I mention a budget to a family member, they typically say, oh, well, if you're looking at that, we can afford to help as well. So I would tell them, that's wonderful. Your heart is in the right place, but let's be realistic. So let's do some math. We want to look at what this rent cost is for this apartment. Then we want to look at what the level of care. So level of care should be tailored to that individual, not just level of care is going to be across the board for everyone, because it's not. Individually, how much care does he need or she need, this person? Then I would tell them, I want you to add on to the rent the max level of care. Most communities out there have level 1 to level 5. So that's level 1 is kind of just minimal care or just supervision and one assisted activity of daily living, which is the ADL. So we kind of look at that and I tell them, I want you to put the max on top of what the rent is, even though you're not using it now. But anything can change from today to 3 months from now, any change in medical situation for the person. And now I want you to take that and say by year, and I want you to look at the next 3 to 5 years. And they say, okay, now is this feasible, even if you were helping? Oh, wow. That can turn out to be a lot. And again, your heart is in the right place, but you have your own finances to take care of and your own family. So now we're looking at different options. Is this the ideal community from my parent from now to the future? Because when you do the math, you're looking at being in assisted living can go anywhere from over 100,000, some 200,000, depending on the apartment, the daily living activities, and then where you start involving memory care because it's needed. That's when the costs are going up. So that's kind of how I would identify, is your loved one appropriate? Are we in the scope of care to provide them the care that they need? And from a financial standpoint, is this feasible for you and your family member? Because if someone says, yes, we can do that, we also have to consider the resident, the elderly person. Do we want to move them again in a year? Because now financially it's become a financial strain and it's not feasible anymore. So it's really planning ahead and knowing what costs are needed up front. And there are ways to identify it up front. As you mentioned, hidden fees. You want to communicate with someone in a community that they're going to be completely transparent and there are no hidden fees.
Exactly. One of the things that we have done here, Horizon, is we have opened another company. It's called the Elder Care Finders. And we are able to identify facilities to the community, to someone who are looking to place their loved ones in the right place for the right cost and educate the families, all about the communities and help them choose. And we also help them move too. And we can auction their belongings. We refer them to the best real estate agent in the area to be able to sell their home. We have movers coming in to pack and move. We have a caregiver that goes along moving with them.
Great service is so needed.
Yeah.
I used to get a lot of phone calls. We talked in one of our other episodes about when the children are far away. And I would get the phone calls where they say, I want my parent to move there and this and that. Great. Can I just send you a check? And they're ready to just get their parent moved. And it's like, okay, wait. Pump the brakes. Who's going to pack your parent up?
Right.
Who's going to identify what they need to take with them?
Exactly.
And they lived in a home for 20 years. They are not going to bring all those items. And now you've downsized, because most of the time downsize, especially if there's memory care involved, the smaller the better for them. Too big of a home is too overwhelming, because you will find that they don't leave a certain area in that home. So we want to kind of tailor it again to them. So now it's like, how am I going to move them? Well, do you all do that? They always thought that once they sat with me that I did everything. I can refer you to people, and there are companies, just like you mentioned, having elder care services that not only is identifying the best placement for your parent, whether for their physical needs, their financial needs, and also now talking about, okay, who's going to pack them and who's going to get them prepared and emotionally ready. Because now this is a huge emotional toll on someone who's moving. It's scary just for any one of us that you're moving, started college for the first time, now you're going into this new setting. So you have to be there. And you also provide the emotional support. And then once you get them there, which is great, is unpacking them, putting everything in order, in place. I've seen horror situations and being in this industry so many years where they hire movers that they don't even know who the movers are. They just all commercial. I'm going to hire them. And then the movers dump everything in that person's new apartment and they leave. And it's almost assumed that the staff at the assisted living, they're going to unpack. They're going to put away. And so the elderly person is trying to unpack. And that's just a cocktail of disaster. It's just not good. So having that is a great option to offer someone, because you can do it all for them, but it's when you don't know. It's like, where do you turn? We know because we've done this for so long, but someone that's not in this industry or hasn't worked with someone in this industry or hasn't experienced this personally, you really don't know what you're supposed to do.
No, and the logistics of everything. There's so much details that goes into it.
There is.
But I also wanted to say something that's really important, that if you can afford to keep your loved ones at home, either they have dementia, either they are failing to thrive, or whatever, they have cognitive disorder or whatever, you can still keep them at home. If you can afford it, it is the best way, especially some of the patients who have cognitive disorders and they have beginning of dementia. Sometimes it does get to a point where they get irritable, uncontrollable, that sometimes private duty cannot handle.
The home is not safe anymore. They have stairs and
Right. And we are able to determine that, and we'll be able to contact the family and say, now your father or your mother is, moving into a different direction, and be able to give you the options.
You should be looking at the reviews. Go online when you're searching, do your homework and look at these reviews. We look at reviews for a pair of shoes, right? We look at reviews for an outfit, or we look at reviews to see if that dress is going to fit me and it fit the other person. Look at reviews for caring for your loved one. It's so important.
It is very, very important. And a lot of times people will say, oh, yeah, well, I use, I know someone.
Yeah.
Someone can be detrimental to your loved one. So just make sure that you use somebody that is certified, somebody who understands, somebody who knows, and somebody who's going to hold your hand at the end of the day.
And someone's going to keep you stimulated while you're in the home environment. They need the socialization. So it's so important to have that socialization as well. I'm here looking. You mentioned to me this great article that you brought up the other day, and it goes to the hidden fees you were talking about.
Oh, from AARP.
Yes. You were the one that put me onto this article. And they got you all fired up. We love when Andrea
Oh,
gets
yes.
all
I get all
fired
crazy
up.
and
She
fired
sent
up
it to me.
about it.
She's like, oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this. About these hidden fees.
I mean, it's just like I went to pay for my garage door today, and they wanted to charge me 3% on my credit card. It's hidden fees everywhere. So you got to be aware. You got to ask questions. And again, ask question. Okay, now I'm moving my mom into an assisted living facility. It's going to cost me $8,000. Okay, what about if my mom is aging in place? What about if she needs more care? Now the different levels of care. How high does it go? Because at the end of the day, if it's going to be too high, you might as well keep your mother in her home with private duty hourly living care.
And this article on AARP, if anyone wants to look it up, is Beware of Hidden Fees in Assisted Living Facilities. And they go into things that are very interesting because working in assisted living for so many years, independent living and senior living, fortunately, I didn't have these concerns with the organizations I worked for. So we talk about hidden costs. This is very interesting. It says hidden costs of these goods and services vary by facility. It talks about, again, hygiene products such as deodorant, shampoos, household supplies, toiletries, incontinence supplies, medication management, meal brought to a room, personal laundry, salon services, cable TV, therapy, co-payments, transportation to appointments, meal or refreshments, visitors. That's a lot. So imagine you just already did this financial budget before you moved your loved one in there, and you believe this is what you're going to pay, and now the next invoice you just had all of this added to it. That should not be the case. It's automatic before you're moving in somewhere. Are toiletries included? Usually not. It's like if you're staying in a hotel, besides the little tiny samples they give you, you should be bringing your own toiletries. Household supplies is paper towels. Believe it or not, they're not included. Even like toilet paper is not included because it's a little different when you go into a kind of higher level of care. Incontinence supplies, like their diapers, their Depends, they're not included. These are things that are in the conversation prior to assisted living. And typically where I was, the nurse would have this conversation as well with the loved one. And that would consist of, okay, so if they're on Depends, you have the option. You can order them online, you can purchase them somewhere, or the nurse can order them from a local pharmacy as a delivery. So kind of now that is now included in that monthly fee, and it's not additional to your cost of the assisted living, but personally. So I'm kind of factoring that in, that if my parents going to live here, I have to look at, okay, the Depends every month, the toiletries. So these are great things to know. Medication management. Medication management is tailored on, again, the individual person. Where I was, there was a level of care for medication. And the reason for that is because you have someone, believe it or not, which it's amazing, that only takes one pill. They take an aspirin. That's it. Great. Then you have someone that takes 6 different medications. And then you have another person that doesn't just take oral medications. They're a diabetic. They need their insulin. They need their levels read before they receive their insulin. So the level of care is going to increase with the more medications, the more that's involved, any injection, things like that. And it also depends on the licensing that assisted living has. Are they limited nursing license? Are they extended care license? So those are factors. But this conversation should be had prior to moving in, because the level of care, that's another, for medication management, that's another expense that's going to be additional to level of care, of the care for the person, their needs. So those are good things to know in advance. Then a lot of communities, like the cable service, the utilities, that's all included. Maybe not. Transportation, usually it's included. Some communities are charging additional mileage after a certain amount of miles. So some will tell you, we will take them to their doctor appointments 10-mile radius. Anything additional, then they're going to pay for that cost. A great thing is if they still have a caregiver with them in their assisted living, then that's not something you're looking at, because it's kind of included when you have that caregiver that you brought in with you. Personal laundry, that should be included, may not be in some communities. So these are great questions to ask. Salon services, do they have a salon, and what are the costs of the salon? You want to almost in advance, kind of like we do with our own loved ones, even children, budget. If my mother or my father go to the hair salon or barber shop this month, this is the max they should have. It shouldn't be a surprise either that they come back from the hair salon. They had the hair color, they had nails, and they had all this. And that's great if you want to pay for that, but you want to know advance because especially financially, you're budgeting, they're helping to budget their life for them. So you don't want any surprises. So it's great to also get a list of the pricing for the hair salon if they have one in there. And meal, refreshments, things like that, you want to know what the costs are if it's being delivered. There are some places that do charge for a delivery fee because the person doesn't want to leave their apartment or maybe they're not feeling good. Some don't. The wonderful thing is also in advance, you want to know the bill, the invoice. How is this invoice broken down? You just don't want a bill, and it's obvious it should all be broken down so you know what you're paying for in addition to the rent cost and any daily living that you're paying for.
So part of one of the companies that we own, Elder Care Finders, that's what we do. We help you find all those hidden fees. We help you telling which communities is stable enough for your parents, where you should move your parents. Everything about each and every community out there, we know about it, and we can assist you with that. Now, I know that some of you that may not have any relatives in Florida or that doesn't live in Florida, if you are listening to this podcast and you want more information about anything when it comes to senior services or help with your loved ones, no matter where you are, please email her at seniorcaremadesimple@gmail.com. We'll be able to answer any questions. If you want us to talk about any topics you want to talk about, please let us know. We are here for that, all for information. Lucy, thank you so much for all the information that you were able to share.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you, everyone, for listening to our podcast. And stick around. We have more to come. Have a great day, everybody.
Senior Care Made Simple, an elder care podcast, has been brought to you by Horizon Care Services, your private duty choice in home care in South Florida. For more information on acquiring home care assistance, visit horizoncareservices.com.